still breathing.
You're here. Are you ready?
Mic on now. Mic should be on now. Sorry.
You guys alright?
Yes, I think so.
I do think people are being too harsh on this game. I mean, I'm definitely being harsh on it too, but I think people forget that, like, every MMO is like this at the start. Devoid of content, relatively boring, you know, not going to be much of an end game. It's just the core gameplay loop in this really pales in comparison to the original game. That's my biggest problem with it. The open world doesn't really feel like it adds much. I mean, when does an open world really add much of anything besides just wasting your time? This game's no different, unfortunately. But I'm sure things will get worked out in time. Yeah, but old school PSO2 was a lot like this game. It really was. But the people playing on the global server that never played on Japan server never really got to experience that because they did a speed run through all the content. That's why I'm a little bit more accepting of this than I normally would be, because I was around from the beginning. I was around from the beginning when there was nothing to do.
Don't let the four legs fool you. It's got a tricky attack, just like a petasaur.
What was with Warframe? I never really played that game. I tried it. Didn't really seem like something I like.
This'll settle it!
Mission accomplished! Thank you for your contribution.
Let's go report to Crawford. Ina?
Oh, right.
Well, part of the problem with this is that the global newbies, bless their hearts, but they have an unrealistic expectation of, like, what this was going to launch with, because the global players did not have to go through the drip feed that I did.
Welcome home.
We would go weeks or months without anything really happening. Especially before they added, like, ultimate quests
Can I ask you
and
to
more
do something?
EQs and stuff, and the divide quests and everything.
Could you... There's...
Sure.
They have an unrealistic expectation, like, you know, you're not gonna get fat drops of content every month. This is probably gonna be a lot like, you know, how PSO2 was before, where you get the drip feed. You know, you're lucky if every 2 weeks you get, like, some costumes or something. Which for some people is content. I mean, that's completely fine that it is, but you're not gonna be dropping a whole new episode and new stuff to power creep every month. I feel like they should have just released Genesis by itself. That would have curbed a lot of the unrealistic expectations.
Yeah. Well, see you later.
Well, that's what happens when you burn through almost a decade of content in a year. People expect that to keep happening, even though it's unrealistic and implausible for that to continue. It is nice that this is going to be like KOF All-Star, though. KOF All-Star is pretty cool because everything is global in that game. There's no waiting for updates. They had a brief period where they needed to catch up, and now everybody gets stuff at the same time.
Bye-bye!
From what I understand, the reason it's not called PSO3 is because of the licensing stuff with all the collaboration things. I guess if they called it PSO3, they couldn't keep any of that stuff. Which makes sense. Copyright laws are, we all know, are very outdated and archaic and stupid. But it seems like their plan all along was to just speed run through all the content to get this out.
Bye-bye!
Nice. Well, see you later.
Come by anytime, okay?
Howdy! Yes! If you'll excuse me.
I just feel bad for the people that invested so much time in vanilla PSO2. There never really was much of a point in playing it. A lot of people are pissed off right now because the you can transfer your weapons over, but apparently they have like shit stats.
Hello.
It's basically like having someone give you a decent weapon at the start. That's like all it is. I mean, they're not gonna let you have like end-game stuff right away, but it definitely does lessen how impactful it was to play the original game.
Well done. Good work. Thank you very much.
Later!
They let you keep the cosmetics, yeah. That's more important to most people.
Keep shooting for the stars!
Take care.
A great success! A success! Come again!
This just doesn't have the pacing of the old game. But I have faith it will at some point. Just not anytime soon. Right now, people are saying it's really hard to party with friends because there's too many people on. I'm sure one of their solutions to that is going to be we're just going to make instant shit like the old game, the actual fun stuff where you're constantly fighting. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. That'll please everybody, really. That'll knock all that out, pretty much. It's like, if you want to walk around in an empty, dead open world where no enemies spawn, you can, but you can also do instance content with friends and have a more controlled experience. More enemies can spawn, it can be more exciting. They definitely did do the same thing with the old game. We definitely did run around in MPAs for like... People would do it for like 12 hours a day back then. Because it was the best way to level up and it was the only way to get drops outside of emergency quests. It's not like running around in nothing and waiting for shit to spawn. It's like alien to PSO2. It feels worse here because the world is... It's not really a big open world, but it's big enough and it's not filled with enough things to do that sometimes it really feels like you're playing a walking sim instead of a fast-paced action MMO. Which is the polar opposite of what the original game was. The original game was drop in a small instance and run around and like millions of things are dying and taking millions of damage. And it was always very exhilarating to play. Yes, it was repetitive. All video games are repetitive, but the gameplay loop I thought was really fun, especially when things started dropping more often. You had just like a large amount of loot dropping. be critical on this game because I'm an old school player. I've been around since the original PSO, like 20 years ago. I definitely am harder to please, but I think it's just the fact that this is open world that really turns me off in some ways. Let's see if there's anybody in here. I think one of the main problems is that the fast travel points are really far apart, so... You know, if something's spawning, you have to run a really long way, and that's what's boring. I mean, if you watch, like, my other 800 videos on this game, you'd know what classes I made. It should be obvious. I've been playing this game on the channel for like 8 years. Been around since the beginning. I think I have Phantasy Star Universe content on here. I'm pretty sure I do. The Universe, I think I have Portable on here. Vanilla 2, and then now this. Around since the Dreamcast days. I don't have any vanilla PSO2 content on here. That game is older than the channel by like 5 years. Yeah, it was turn-based, but they haven't made one of those games in like 27 years. Phantasy Star basically is just PSO at this point. It kind of took it in a new direction, tried to appeal to more people, which has obviously worked. There were like 60,000 people playing this earlier today. They obviously did something right. But no, they've never really tried to modernize old school Phantasy Star. Probably just because they feel those games are so old. You know, the people that would be playing those games could probably be older than me, actually. Phantasy Star 1 was like 86, 87. Making something like this was far more profitable than a turn-based RPG. Phantasy Star didn't really have really innovative turn-based combat anyway. I'm sure another problem is like we could make it like really interesting turn-based, but then people would feel that it's you know, they're alienated. You don't have a lot of options with turn-based games. You have like Dragon Quest, which is pretty boring, one-dimensional turn-based combat. And you have stuff like Persona that has more going on, but it's still simplified compared to the Megami Tensei games. And then after that, you just have like random indies and RPG Maker stuff, which is like bottom tier. There is such a thing as good turn-based combat. It's just very hard to find right now. Dragon Quest is like not changed at all. It's been the same combat for like 35 years. People say Musou is not innovative. I'm like, man, look at Dragon Quest. They're still good games, don't get me wrong, but they have not done anything with that stuff in ages. The biggest change that it's in 3D and it has like an MMO camera. Those are like the biggest changes. Well, Pokemon has way more going on than Dragon Quest does. Dragon Quest is like the epitome of just basic turn-based combat. Supposedly the new Dragon Quest is supposed to be like edgelord stuff. I'm curious how that will work. I think Dragon Quest is just there for people that they want a lighthearted adventure and they don't want like 500 mechanics to learn, because Pokemon and stuff is simple on the surface, but playing those games competitively is really complicated. Dragon Quest has pretty much just been the same thing since the 80s. Which might not be a bad thing depending on how you feel. The problem with turn-based combat too is that graphics are so realistic now, and it really takes you out of the immersion when your characters just stand there and trade hits.
I really appreciate your
A lot of people say that's a problem with Yakuza 7. You know, they have the badass cutscenes where they take off their shirts and they show the tattoo and stuff, and there's like a big fight. And then they just stand there and trade hits. It just doesn't really work anymore, unfortunately. The graphics have come so far since, you know, Dragon Quest and Ys and stuff. I watched people play Yakuza 7, and that was like the first observation I had. It's like, okay, he took off his shirt and he's got his tattoo, and there's like 30 dudes in front of him, but then they all just kind of circle around each other and trade hits. It looks really awkward. It definitely works better when the game is not like going for like hyper-realism. I guess that's why Dragon Quest still gets away with it. Dragon Quest is very stylized aesthetically. But Yakuza, it's like, alright, these guys are gonna have this badass fight. But then, no, they just stand there and trade hits. Doesn't help that the cutscenes are in engine, too. They're not pre-rendered. It's a hard sell for a lot of people. I can definitely understand why. It's not something that's, like, obsolete. It's just... I think graphical advancements have made it obsolete. My favorite turn-based RPG would definitely be the Valkyrie Profile games and the Mario and Luigi games. Because those were not just standing there and trading hits. Mario and Luigi was really cool because it was like, you did trade hits, but you could dodge like every attack in the game. So it was only like a generic turn-based, just stand there, hit them and heal, if you didn't bother to learn the attacks. You could beat every enemy in that game without ever getting hit, and it really kept you on your toes. I thought it was really interesting. Indivisible came close. I liked Indivisible too, but the problem with Indivisible is it's way too easy. And it wasn't really much of an RPG. There's like no gear, there's like nothing to grind for. Indivisible was like average at best. I liked the characters, I liked how better paced it was than its inspiration, Valkyrie Profile. Valkyrie Profile 1 has really terrible pacing. But it pales in comparison in like every other way. Indivisible was just like completely devoid of challenge. It was really boring. They tried to do more with it, but the stats... You got a bunch of stats just for like reading the story. It felt really phoned in towards the end. All the side quests were like just a bunch of talking and then fighting a palette swap monster. Because the game had no gear, there was like no reward for doing it. It's a shame what happened with that game. I think that game had a lot of potential. It really didn't live up to its inspiration at all. Having skippable cutscenes was nice though. The original Valkyrie Profile was freaking intense cutscenes. Which is a shame because that game is really fun to play more than once, but the cutscenes will wear you down. Actually, at the beginning of Valkyrie Profile 1 is a 30-minute unskippable cutscene. People actually speedran that game for a while. It felt like they wanted you to play that game more than once, but they didn't have the foresight to let you skip the cutscenes. The cutscenes are very great to watch the first time. The characters all have really interesting backstories. A lot of them are tearjerkers too. It's a very emotional game to play. But heaven forbid if you want to play that game again. You gotta watch like 8 billion cutscenes. Luckily, the second one fixed that. It actually was pretty cool in Indivisible how the characters just joined. And a lot of people didn't like that, but I feel like the game didn't really have many RPG elements in the first place. It would have been disappointing if they gave them more backstory, and then you had like no weapons for them or anything. There weren't really any hidden bosses. There was one boss. It's a shame what happened with that game. I was really looking forward to it. I really only wanted to play it once. There wasn't any reason to go back. I feel like out of the big Kickstarter games, Bloodstained was a lot less disappointing. These games are published by the same company, too. Bloodstained definitely turned out better. It did a better job of delivering what it said. Indivisible kind of delivered, but it still managed to be really one-dimensional game. Actually, Mario and Luigi is dead too. The studio that was making them shut down. I haven't played any of the ones past DS. I think the first one was like the best one. The first one and the second one were pretty good. It's a shame nobody else has made anything like that, though. I thought that was the best turn-based combat to me by far. Because it was actually interactive. Not just generic attack and heal, hit the weakness. Didn't really have anything like that. It was mostly just maximize your damage and have good execution. You actually had to dodge the attacks. You couldn't really tank stuff. Which is way more interesting to me. I don't know how well how good the 3DS ones were. The DS ones were pretty good. Yes, look on my channel. I covered that game. You need to like search for the stuff before you ask. Chances are I've already played it, and I've already covered it. I did a lot on that game. I might go back to it at some point, maybe in the later in the summer. Yes, I don't have playlists for every game I've played. I've played like probably like 200 games on here, but you can just search before you ask. Just search. The question is probably already answered. Put up a lot of high-level gameplay for that. That's kind of what the videos are there for. I even look at my own videos. I admit that I look at my own videos when I replay a game. It's supposed to be like an archive kind of thing. Babylon's Fall. I forgot about that game. Vaporware. Well, I'm just saying, if you have a question about a game, then search before you ask. Chances are I've already covered it. I bought that game twice. I wanted to play through it again. I just don't have time right now. There's too many games coming out. Well, the original Odin Sphere had really shitty combat, and they fixed that. They They fixed that in the remake. They fixed pretty much everything in the remake. It's a much better game. I think I'm done on this. I'm getting kind of burnt out.
Thank you very
This is what I don't like. Let me just teleport straight there. Don't waste my time with this shit. It's just annoying. Like, why can't I just go straight there? There's nothing in this open world anyway. Give me a fucking instance with, like, 100 enemies, like the old game. Bring that back. This shit is boring. Where's the stupid thing? Like, what? It's not pointing me in the right direction. This fucking map does not work. I don't want to fucking run around in this shit. I want to actually fight something. Not run around in an empty canyon. I don't know what the hell's wrong with the marker in this game. The map's all fucked up. The battle area is kind of like old PSO2, but not really. It still pales in comparison.
Good day. Hey, me and Bannon are at the cafe right now. Wanna come join us?
Not really.
We'll be here.
Yeah, but that game is boring tap target shit. Fuck that. Tap target combat's boring and stressful. Don't want that. That shit is dreadfully boring.
How are things? Yeah. See you next time.
Oh, these fuckers have this stupid symbol arts on. I have to turn those off before I get banned. I hate those things. They always post freaking softcore hentai and shit. How do I turn those off again? Hide. Thank you. You have to do that if you stream this game. You can't not do that. If you leave the symbol arts on, someone's gonna post porn and get you banned. Because people in this game can't tame their horny. It's like, dude, no one wants to see your friggin' naked lolly. Fuck off. There was once a League of Legends streamer who was playing PSO2. I don't remember if it was the Japan server or the global one. But he was playing and somebody stream sniped him, went up right next to him and posted hentai. He didn't get banned for it, but it's not a risk you want to take. Some of them are pretty funny, but most people just
Stay
post
safe.
hentai. I'm not interested in seeing it.
No.
Hey!
What do they have in the shop? I'm not gonna drop money on this right now. I don't like it enough. I really do not like it enough. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not terrible, but it also doesn't really hold my interest. It's kind of just there. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. There's very little RMT in PSO2. It's mostly just horny weebs that they can't help but tell everybody how horny they are. Is what's the problem in that game. It's been like that since the beginning. It's people just straight up posting porn. Like, it's totally not a game that's rated teen. Oh, I have the wrong controls, that's why. Wonder why it wasn't working. Ah, fuck, I missed the skull. Let's go back and get it. You have to do a shuriken jump to get it. Yes, I have played this game before. I have not really played this version before. I played the 360 version, like, 50 billion years ago. I haven't really played any of the Sigma games. There we go. Best thing about this game is the tonfas. I think they are the best tonfas you can use in any video game. The tonfas in this are fucking masterclass. Very good. I played through the whole game with the tonfas. They were so busted. That's why I'm playing this again, is I want to experience that again. It's just boring. It's just boring. The trappings of every other fucking open world game where you run around and nothing happens. And everything is designed to waste your time. There's like no fast travel points. Like barely anything spawns. The world is too big and too small at the same time. It just doesn't hold my interest. It's so boring to play. It's fun in small doses, but I can't play that game for like 16 hours like I used to on PSO2. It's too little action, too much just running around and nothing. There is fast travel, but the points are few and far between. Ironically, Dynasty Warriors 9 has better fast travel. If it had Dynasty Warriors 9 fast travel, there's a fast travel point like every 2 feet. It would be a lot better. It's not like an Ubisoft game either. Ubisoft games have all that shit too. You spend a lot of time just running around, which is just boring to me. That's why I don't like open world games. I put a lot of time into Dynasty Warriors 9 because they made it easy to just get into a fight. And there were fast travel points like every 2 feet, so... Once you did the initial exploration of the world, you never had to... He never had to interact with the open world at all. Especially once they added the lore gem system. Well, the global version of PSO2 was shit. It was bad. It's like legit the worst way to play that game. I know a lot of people got turned off PSO2 because they didn't realize they weren't playing the game as it was intended. Stuff was getting power crept like every 2 months, which is never how it was on the original game, the Japanese server. And generally, your grinding stuff was best in slot for an entire episode, which was like 1 to 2 years. They did do a couple like mid-episode power creeps, but it never really was that bad. Mostly just the beginning of episode 3 when they added ultimate quests, when they first added 13-star weapons. But I mean, other than that, the grind actually meant something. On the global version, it didn't. I don't know, it's just a weird situation to me. Going through all the content and not having to wait for it seems like it's great on paper until you actually play it yourself. Realize, like, this isn't how the game was meant to be played. And a lot of the stuff you're doing is just completely pointless as a result. But the only reason Global exists is for New Genesis, which seems to work. I think they peaked at like 60k people playing today. Their strategy worked, it's just actually playing vanilla PSO2 is kind of... It was mostly pointless. You wanted the cosmetics for Genesis, sure. You wanted to learn how the core gameplay mechanics work. But other than that, kind of just a waste. Yeah, the global release is nice. It's just actually playing the vanilla game was pointless. It really was pointless. That's just the reality of it. I think that was just their plan all along. It's just like, hey, we're just gonna give you the old game, even though it's already kind of at the end of its lifespan. We're just gonna give it to you and do what you want with it. You get to go through every era of the game, the good and the bad, in less than a year instead of 8 years, which isn't terrible, but grinding for all that stuff was pointless. Someone disliked the stream. I'm talking too real for them, I guess. They know I'm right, though. Global is just a weird, like, experiment. It's like, okay, the more popular one's gonna be the open world one, because that's what the normies want. They want a big, empty open world, instead of, like, actually playing the game. We're just gonna speed run through all the content, for better or for worse. Apparently, I think the Japan server is IP blocked now. That's what someone in my Discord said. I haven't logged on the Japanese server in like eons, but that's what I heard from people. We never really did IP bans before. Last time they did an IP ban was a couple years ago where they had that DDoS attack. And they banned a lot of non-Japanese IPs. But then once they fixed that, they turned it off. But you've still been able to play on the Japanese servers up until, I guess, yesterday. Keep in mind when Global first came out, it was stuck on the Microsoft Store, and the game kept uninstalling and reinstalling itself. And then people actually couldn't uninstall it. The data would become encrypted. You had to go through all this stuff just to install it. It really was. It was a huge mess. Eventually they realized nobody's going to play this game if it's stuck on the Microsoft Store. You have to be Fortnite for people to want to put up with a shitty store like that. And a lot of people, the game was uninstalling itself. And then the data wouldn't actually be off the hard drive, so you had to, like, go through all this complicated shit just to get it off. And it was stuck on there for months, too. It's like when I got that review key for Godfall on the Epic Game Store, and it took me like an hour to get past the CAPTCHA. The CAPTCHA was like impossible. And then I had a problem with the game not accepting my controller, so I joined their Discord, and then apparently like all the Epic Game inclusive Discords can't talk in there. Like, I don't understand why they had a Discord. You can't talk in there. The game had no matchmaking either, so if you wanted to play with people, you had to treat it like a Discord fighter and go into a separate Discord. You couldn't do it in their official one, because you can't talk in there for some reason. Same thing with their forum. Their forum was read-only. It's like, how the hell do you get feedback? I always thought that people just hated the Epic Game Store because it's not Steam, but I got a rude awakening when I got that Godfall key. First-hand experience of why the Epic Game Store is hated as much as it is. It must really suck getting paid to put your game on there if you're like a small indie, because you can't get feedback. I don't know, I mean, to be fair, there's not really a reason to play on the... There's no reason to play on the Japanese servers anymore. It's pointless. I mean, it does suck for the people that had, like, a lot of cosmetics and stuff on there, but... It's basically pointless to keep playing on there. Okay, so I'm gonna do a port review for these. The game will close. Such a great port. It won't close. Wow. Great port. Excellent port. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get a port review out. Maybe in the afternoon. The quick rundown is that there's no resolution options. There's no real full screen. It's just a windowed full screen, which isn't that bad, really. The only resolutions are 720, 1080, and 4K, which is really weird. Frame rate 60 FPS capped. You can't go above that. It's probably game logic's probably tied to the frame rate. These are older games. You can't go above 60 FPS. You can't use the keyboard at all. You can't even Alt F4. Which is particularly annoying because you can't get out of the game quickly. You have to go through like 3 menus to quit. Performance-wise, they're fine. I mean, they're probably the best way to play the game, but I hear even the base PS4 is running these games like perfectly. I heard optimization-wise, they're actually pretty good. People have said they've been able to run it at 4K with worse rigs than mine, so make of that what you will. They're very bare-bones ports. The Switch port is decent. It does have dynamic resolution scaling. I've noticed it quite a bit, but my Switch, I think my Switch is like on the way out or something. I saw some gameplay footage today that was running a lot better than mine. I don't know what's wrong with my Switch. But the only real reason to get it on PCs, if you somehow don't have one of the platforms that it's on everything. And maybe eventual mods. But, I mean, Neo 2, a lot more people were interested in that PC port because that's actually a relatively new game. You know, it had the exclusivity, but you know, there are more people interested in that than these kind of decrepit old games. I don't know if there will really be any mods for it, but if you're expecting an actual good PC port with like actual options and upgrades and stuff, it really doesn't offer anything over console at all. It's basically just the same thing. But I'll probably record some gameplay. I'm familiar with all 3 games. The only one I finished was Vanilla 2, so I'll probably crap out some gameplay and I'll just talk over it or something. And I'll get that out for you guys. But that's the Cliff Notes. If you're on the fence, apparently the console ports are fine. Switch version mostly hit 60 FPS, but I don't know if my Switch is a good example. I definitely had problems running things that other people haven't. I think it's because mine is a launch Switch and it's been through hell and back. I don't really care to repair it because some people are saying we're going to hear about the Switch Pro at E3. So I've just been holding off. I'll probably just jailbreak that one, the one that I have, for like performance patches and stuff. I know we can get Bloodstained running at like 60 FPS, and like mods and stuff would be fun. Yeah, they're very bare bones ports. They're missing a lot of content. Um, they don't have the original versions of the game. If that bothers you, I'm not really that hardcore about modern Ninja Gaiden, so it doesn't really bother me. But it's a deal breaker for some people, and that's kind of a shame. Apparently, they lost the source code. I don't know how the hell they lost the source code. They said they lost the source code to like Ninja Gaiden Black and stuff when not that much time passed. Did they just like throw it out or something? We live in a wasteful society, but man, game developers they take such shit care of their games. There's so many games they've lost the source code. Like I know, like I think it's like both Resident Evil, the PS1 Resident Evil games, and then the PS1 Final Fantasy games. They don't have access to those backgrounds anymore. The pre-rendered backgrounds, they're gone. Which I think is what one of the things that made the Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 remakes happen over the past 15 years or so. Like they can't do anything with those old games anymore. It's a shame. I think it would have been better if they just had all the versions. They had Vanilla 1, Vanilla Black. They had like Vanilla Black and Sigma, Sigma 1, and then Vanilla 2 and Sigma 2, and then just Razor's Edge. I don't think anybody would miss Vanilla Ninja Gaiden 3 because that game is a piece of shit. Razor's Edge fixes almost all the problems, as much as they could anyway. Anyway, that's going to be it. I'll see you guys in the morning for Pinnacle of Combat. It's going to be launching in about 7 hours, so stay tuned for that. The successor to PSO2 is New Genesis. You can watch my my videos on it. I'll see you guys later.